Dudes and dudettes, welcome back to the Ice Age. My name is Iceman. I'm bringing you another episode of The Freezer, and this is the series where I talk about topics that I think are interesting, and they generally won't have to do with gaming. So in the background, got some Titanfall gameplay on the map Training Ground, and I do okay. It's not a great game, but is pretty entertaining moments happened, especially one about halfway through, I think, with some art grenades, so be on the lookout for that. Really happy with that. So anyway, to get back on topic with the series, the Freezer episode this time around will be talking about metal music. And this is a topic that I always find very interesting to talk about with people because most people have the same kind of stereotypes about it and the people who listen to it. And usually those stereotypes are pretty inaccurate. For some people, they might be spot on, as they are stereotypes and they're there for a reason. But for some people, that's not quite how the case is, and I'm definitely one of those people. So I wanted to use this video to kind of talk about it a little bit and get your impressions on it, kind of what you think about metal music, maybe the fans of metal, and if you like it or you hate it or whatever. So yeah, leave me a comment after the video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you want to see more of these types of videos and everything from me. So, okay, so to get started, I started listening to metal quite a few years ago. I came into it from a background of classic rock and alternative rock. So I always listened to bands like Boston, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Iron Maiden. Some of those bands actually will be brought up later as well when I talk about kind of heavy metal influences and everything, but that was sort of where I got my start. Really liked rock as a whole for most of my life. Classic rock was my thing all the way through middle school and everything, and it was really my favorite type of music because it had good beat, really easy to exercise to, and really good music, I thought, just really my favorite type of stuff to listen to. I also listen to alternative rock occasionally, things like Green Day, Smash Mouth, Good Charlotte, Yellow Card. So that was a little bit there as well, but mostly classic rock and I guess what you'd call kind of the predecessors of modern day metal in some of those bands like Def Leppard or Iron Maiden, things like that. So nowadays, in addition to the classic rock and the alternative rock and everything, I do listen to what you would consider to be true metal. I listen to bands like Amon Amarth, Bullet for My Valentine, Disturbed, Sudacra, Sabaton, Atreyu, All That Remains, and of course Metallica. And out of all those bands there, Metallica kind of fits in the least. Metallica is more of a thrash metal band, which I will talk about in a little bit, but I just include them because everybody knows them. They were kind of some of the big forefathers, I guess, of the popularity of metal and the harder rock that is out today, and they've just been really, really influential in many sounds that bands these days have, and kind of a list of metal would not be complete without including them on it somewhere. So those are kind of some of the bands that I listen to. Let me know if you guys have heard of them or listened to them or anything like that. I'm always interested to see, what people have heard of from this kind of music scene, and because some people haven't really heard of most of these bands, and whenever somebody has, it's always really interesting to hear if they like them or don't like them or things like that. So I wanted to kind of clear up some stereotypes, I think, that metal and the people that listen to metal have, because frankly, I don't fit any of the metal fan stereotypes, and I just wanted to kind of, clear up the fact that not everybody that listens to metal is how you would imagine the typical metal fan. So I know a lot of the stereotypes for people that listen to it would be like emo or angry or satanic or evil or basically something that has like a negative connotation. People don't really think that metal fans are really, social or socially acceptable. They kind of do what they want, don't really, follow the rules too often, kind of that kind of person. And, for some people, maybe that's true. You know, they like metal because it can be themed sort of against, you know, against the man or against religion or whatever you want to say, but I'm not really any of those things. I'm your average white guy. I'm a Christian. You know, I don't have any emotional issues or disorders. I play by the rules. You know, I'm not really like a guy who goes out and just riots and, you know, kind of does whatever he wants or anything like that. And yet I still love metal. I enjoy it a lot. It's my favorite type of music, and it definitely is possible to be not the stereotypical metal fan and enjoy it a lot. And I think that's just something that, you know, people don't really understand, that you can listen to the music for being great music. And I listen to subgenres of metal like melodic death and melodic metalcore. And those are vastly different from the stereotypical metal, because basically when people think about metal and they think about all that satanic stuff and just, you know, people all painted up and dressed weird and blood and all that gross stuff, I mean, that's generally what you consider black metal, and I do not like that basically just as much as anybody listening to this video. And, you know, I'm not a fan of that either, and it kind of sucks that that's what people think about when they think about metal, and that's really it. And if that shapes their impression, then they're really going to never listen to it. And there are so many other types of metal out there that I think people would really enjoy if they had the chance. But, you know, black metal is just so stereotypical about it that it kind of scares people off, I guess you could say. So, like I was saying, you know, black metal is just it's like very raw, a lot of screaming, anti-religion, violence, evil, you know, all that good stuff. And I hate that. Melodic death much better fits, I guess, what I listened to before, the classic rock style. It was kind of, you know, a descendant of the new wave of British heavy metal, which includes bands like Iron Maiden and Def Leppard, and is much more melodic, obviously, as is implied in the name, and, you know, has clearly defined verses, choruses, measures. You know, it's a typical music rock song, but just much faster, much more riffs or up-tempo, growling or rough vocals or whatever. But it's still a rock song at the heart, and that's why I was able to enjoy it so much when I first started listening to it, because the build of the song was not that much different from the type of songs that I had already enjoyed. And I listened to other, you know, types of metal as well, like thrash metal or power metal. Some of those bands I mentioned earlier fit into those categories. And to be honest, the reason I listen to metal is because I think it's the best kind of pump-up music. A lot of people like rap for some reason, but I really just hate rap. And metal always seems to me to be much better at getting me, you know, ready for, I don't know, a sporting event or whatever. And to be honest, sometimes the emotional music in metal kind of can help you get through an angry period or a sad period or something like that. It's kind of, you know, something you can listen to help you get through it, almost like talking it out with somebody. If you can find a metal song that kind of, you know, deals with what you're going through, sometimes that makes me feel just a lot better, kind of calms me down, not as angry, not as sad or whatever. And it's a really great benefit, I think, and I wish, you know, people kind of realize that. So I really hope you guys learned something about metal, kind of cleared up some stereotypes there. I freaking love the genre, and I hope you guys give some of those bands a listen. Just look up some of their top songs and see what you think about them. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you learned something, let me know. If you didn't learn anything, or if you hate these topics, let me know that as well. But I really enjoyed making these videos, so until next time, guys, stay frosty.